Hey guys, Shannon here from Shannon Biller's Personal Training and Coaching Services. I've got another video this week for you guys just in regards to nutrition myths that need to die. So these are basically a lot of questions that I get from a lot of people. They're always pretty consistent across the board. You find them in magazines, and they're just questions that just they go through the cycle, so that they always come back into the cycle and they die off and they come back and they die off again. But these are pretty much just set in stone, and the sooner that you can come to terms that these things just don't exist, or they're not as important as you may think they are, your whole dieting phase or training and nutrition lifestyle is going to become a much easier process, and you'll be able to accept it more into your lifestyle as opposed to a short 2-month, 3-month, 4-month stint and then giving up because you've been told to, I don't know, give up gluten or you can't have dairy anymore, for example. So what we'll do is we'll go through and start. So carbs make you fat. Now it's just simply not true. Again, if you're a client of mine and you're training quite hard, you need some amount of carbohydrates. Your brain runs on carbs, so you have your main energy sources, which is your protein, carbs, and your fat. Carbohydrates is a source for high intensity activity. So a good example is for people like who do CrossFit, just to give you an idea. And most of the CrossFit community tend to be on paleo type diets, which is virtually no carbs and all protein and all vegetables and fats. Now, in my opinion, it should work the opposite way around. You're doing really high intensity activity. You need the carbohydrates to fuel the amount of activity that you're going to be doing. So, carbs will not make you fat on their own. It's in excess of total calories that will make you fat. It's not the specific type of macronutrients. The macronutrients are your protein, carbs, and your fat, and alcohol as a sort of a subcalorie as well. Eating foods after 6 or at night time or a certain time will make you fat. Okay, it doesn't work like that. Again, guys, you eat when the schedule fits you and when it's best suited to your lifestyle. Eating at 6 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, it doesn't really matter. You have X amount of calories that you're going to expend throughout the day, and whether you eat your majority of your calories or food morning, midday, or night, it's not really going to have an effect in terms of how much fat mass you lose or how much muscle you gain. I find personally I'm just a morning eater. I don't like eating breakfast, or I just tend to save a lot more calories for a night time because that's when I sit down with my partner and we have dinner and we'll have like a snack or something after dinner. So it's all about creating a lifestyle that you can do long term, and something that you can actually stick to, as opposed to telling someone that you just can't do this, you can't do that, because when you do that, that tends to be the pink elephant in the room. That's all anyone can ever think about, and that's all that they want to do. Having said all that though, if you are cutting out portions of time throughout the day where you're not eating, so for example fasting, and which I'll go into that in a little bit later in the video, it can help reduce total food volume. If you're a person who just doesn't tend to eat much of a nighttime and you prefer cutting off your food at 6 o'clock, that's fine. Just do it. You can have more of your food throughout the morning, midday. That's okay. Whatever allows you to stay on top of your calories and keeps you the happiest through your dieting phase, do that. Easy. Having your protein shake within 30 minutes after your workout. Now this has been around for a really long time, and it probably isn't going to go anywhere soon. The way it works is when you weight train, you obviously you lift up a heavy weight, or you push or pull a heavy weight, you put it back down, repetitions for a time, and then you finish your workout. Now whilst you've done that, if you've worked quite hard, you've damaged the muscles on your body, so it causes stress to the muscle breaks down slightly. Then the theory behind that is as soon as you can get that protein into you, the faster it's going to help the recovery or the building process of your muscles. it's true in the sense the fact that you need to have protein throughout the day, but it doesn't have to be within 30 minutes of straight after the workout. And this is for the majority, 90% of people who are just looking for a bit of fat loss. You're not competing in bodybuilding, or you're not extremely low in terms of your calories and things like that. All the research that's been done, the better option would to be actually to have some amount of protein probably before your workout, 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, because by the time the protein actually goes through your mouth, into your stomach, your body actually digests it, gets it into your small intestine. That's when your body actually then shuttles those nutrients into the bloodstream, which is obviously taken into your muscles and things like that. The only time I'd really recommend you would be having a protein shake straight after a workout would be if you're training in a fasted state. So if you get up first thing in the morning and you don't have any time for breakfast or anything in the morning, and then you go to your gym about an hour later, you do your workout, so you're not eating anything, and then you start training, it is probably of some importance to try and get some protein in there. So again, you're not going to be breaking down muscle or just replacing it with the amino acids that your body currently has. But the most important overall theme is as long as you're getting adequate protein throughout the whole day, that's number one, and then your protein timing after that. I personally like to have most of my protein sort of around lunch and dinner, and I don't really have much of the morning. But as long as you're getting enough protein, that's really going to be the most important thing. Now per meal, so this will tie into one of the other myths that we have in this seminar as well, but you can't digest more than 30 grams of protein per meal. It's simply not true. If that was the case, the human race would have died out a long time ago. And if you do think back to sort of ancestral times where people would have went through fasting phases and non-fasting phases, so where they were eating, they would have went through extended periods of time where they just weren't getting protein or very much protein. Most of it would have been from foraging and things like that. We wouldn't have had access to animals. We wouldn't have had access to supermarkets and buying protein off the shelf. Again, it comes down to your total protein intake over the day. It does, obviously, in terms of a dieting phase, it is going to help you keep fuller for longer because protein does take a lot longer to digest. So in that sense, it can help you stay full. But in terms of just calories in, calories out, how many grams your protein your body can actually digest in a meal, whatever you give your body, your body will digest that amount. So for example, if you know you're going to have a busy day today, just have your protein shake in the morning, and I'm just using protein shake as an example. Have it in the morning, have 60 grams in there, have a little bit of milk that will bump it up to 70 grams, and there's most of your protein intake covered throughout the day, and then you don't have to stress about having to get the rest of your protein intake done throughout the day in the next 5 meals that you should be having, for example. Okay, just get your total, eat it when you like to. All right. High protein is harmful to your kidneys. Oh, I've lost it. There we go. That was sort of a myth that came and went relatively quick. It sometimes pops back up on Facebook and media and things like that. Again, it's if you're eating massive excessive amounts of protein, it could be a potential risk. Even then, guys, it's really not that bad. I mean, if you're eating more than 300 to 400 grams of protein a day, it's really going to be hard, more so on your digestive system, more than your kidneys, to be honest. Look, to be honest, a gram per pound, which is about 2 grams per kilo, is more than enough for your body to build to help maintain muscle and build muscle. Don't go crazy with protein. It's expensive. I mean, you can have the rest, you can fill it with carbohydrates, which in my opinion are a lot tastier, and you can fill the others with fat. Most people don't really need any more than the maximum of 200 to 230 grams a day, and myself personally, I probably wouldn't even go really above 150 grams. There's a lot of research on this topic in terms of how much protein that you can actually get. Just don't go crazy. You know, if you go in excess of anything can kill you. Alright, sorry about my dog, by the way. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, which is one of my favorites, and this is again a load of crap. Now, it's more of a personal preference. If you like breakfast, eat breakfast. If you don't like breakfast, don't eat breakfast. I personally have a coffee in the morning, Caffeine is fantastic. I reckon you should try it. But it's not going to jumpstart your metabolism. If anything, it's probably going to make you hungrier sooner, because again, in the last video, if you've watched that, I spoke a little bit about ghrelin and how the meal frequency in which you eat raises the ghrelin response, and the more ghrelin response that you have throughout the day is going to spike your hunger levels. So I find that myself, and actually quite a lot of my clients that I train, just don't tend to get as hungry in the morning, and you can actually push that back further in the day, where you enjoy your meals, or we can actually sit down and have time to enjoy your food. Now, on that topic, is also studies that you may have seen, again, Facebook media, saying that people who eat breakfast tend to lose more weight, which to be honest, I just don't believe. If you're cutting out a meal, you're at least pushing that meal later in the day. That's another meal that you're potentially cutting out of your total calorie intake. It's not rocket science, guys. People have been going without food for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days at a time, and they're completely fine. The metabolism hasn't stopped, and in some cases, you know what, it's actually sped up the metabolism a tiny bit. But yeah, eat the meals that you're most comfortable with. Don't stress over the specifics of a breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Whatever fits your lifestyle the best, because whatever you can do long term is really what's going to get you the results. Starvation mode. This is a favorite too, and if anyone knows me in particular, I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting as well. So this is a topic I was talking about when I was talking earlier in the slides. You can go for extended periods of time without eating, and your metabolism will be fine. Again, this will go back to obviously Paleolithic days, where people wouldn't have had huge amounts of food for days or weeks at a time, and then they got a kill or found a huge stash of food somewhere at some point, and then they would have filled up as much as they could have, and the metabolism would have been fine. Otherwise, we would have died out thousands and thousands of years ago. Now, the thing is, most people think that they're in starvation mode because they're eating less and less food, but to be honest, it's probably you just not accurately tracking the calories that you actually say you're eating, or the exercise that you're doing isn't amounting to the amount that you think it is. The best way to do this, guys, is literally track your food, work out how many calories, like I said, video I had last time, track how many calories you're meant to be eating, stick to that amount. If you're not losing weight on that amount of calories, reduce it over a 2-week period. There has been some studies, or a couple of studies actually, that show which you can go, up to 3 days without food, completely no food, just water, before there's any down regulation of your metabolism at all. So that means if you're burning 2,000 calories a day, you won't see any down regulation to 18, 17, 1,600 calories a day until you've had completely no food at all for those 3-day period. Okay, so this is why intermittent fasting can suit some people's lifestyles. If you're a shift worker, things like that, it doesn't really matter. Again, guys, pick the days and the times that you enjoy eating when it's available to you. You don't have to follow a 6 meal a day plan. You don't have to follow a no meal a day plan. Detoxing foods. Now this is quite a funny one as well. So you're always going to see some sort of advertising somewhere at some point regarding a new fad, which will be a detox lemon thing. You will see it on social media regarding celebrities that do a detox diet, and you'll see things like you have to pay X amount per month to subscribe to this product so you can detoxify your body because of all the crap that you put into your body. Again, it's simply not true. Everyone has their own inbuilt detox system. It's called your liver. If your liver didn't work, you'd probably be dead. Alright, you don't need to consume anything extra to help detoxify your body. And in all factual information, if you go and read some of the studies out there, fasting itself can actually help detoxify your body to a certain extent, and it's a phase called autophagy, which I won't go through today. But basically, if you go through an extended period of time, 24 to 48 hours without any food, your body actually, you give your body and yourself a break from digesting and assimilating food. And instead of being in a fed state, your body goes into a fasted state, and it can then recycle its own cells in its body and take out damaged and dysregulated cells, and basically use them as an energy source and break them down and get rid of them and flush them out of your body. That's another webinar for another time. But that's a factual way, as opposed to take this powder, you'll detox your body, you'll feel better. It's more of a mental thing than anything. And you'll find that when people lose a lot of weight doing a detox diet, the only magical thing that's really going on there is the fact that this person has managed to drastically reduce their calories so much that they're losing up to 5 kilos per week. Again, most of the detox diets are really quite extreme. You're only having water with lemon, and you only get to have vegetables for dinner. I can guarantee anyone will lose weight on that type of diet. Okay, you have liver, it will do a fine job by itself, as long as you're not killing it with heaps and heaps and heaps of alcohol. Alright. Then we have... Oh, I've lost him. Gluten-free and dairy to lose weight, so cutting out gluten and dairy. And this is quite a funny one, in the term that there was a massive phase where everyone was cutting out gluten completely, and you need to cut out dairy because it's too high in sugar and that sort of stuff. Again, guys, it doesn't work that way. If you couldn't process dairy, you would be on the shitter all the time, as those people who are lactose intolerant. And if you had celiac disease, you would be able to eat gluten. All right, that's as simple as it gets, or not as simple as it gets. I mean, there are intricacies between that, but those are the people who are going to be affected the most, and you really don't need to worry too much about it unless you fit into those categories. If you find that you feel a little bit bloated eating dairy, by all means, you can reduce the amount. Sometimes it just doesn't tend to agree with people. I personally, for example, I don't like eating much yogurt. I feel like I get a bit bloated off it, so I just don't eat yogurt. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Eat the food you like. Eat the foods that agree with you the most. Eat the foods that are the most satiating. Don't worry about gluten. You'll see it on menus. They try and sell it. It's a marketing pitch. It's to get people to buy a product because of marketing and scare tactics. It's only, trust me, if you had a gluten intolerance or a real gluten intolerance, you'd know about it. And if you had if you were lactose intolerant, I guarantee you would know about it. And again, in terms of total calories, it's gonna be whatever fits your total calories by the end of the day. Okay. So that was the 9. So we're going to go through a favorite of mine, which is clean eating, and this is probably the biggest myth out there. Now, clean eating just means that you're only allowed to eat clean foods, or quote unquote clean foods. And I always have a joke with my clients: how do you make a food clean? And you go to your sink and you wash it with detergent, because it's bro science. So if you've never heard of the term bro science, it's basically just myths perpetuated by people who then parrot information to other people, and they just then parrot that information onto other people, more specifically within the gym environment. Okay, so the way clean eating works is chicken, broccoli, vegetables. It's basically wholesome food eating, so stuff that has one ingredient: eggs, chicken, broccoli, as opposed to things that are more highly processed and more highly palatable, so things like your chips, your nachos, tasty stuff, barbecue shapes. So there is actually a guy called Gary Taubes, I think, if I remember correctly, and he actually went on a Twinkie diet. And I'm not saying that I'm actively promoting this. I don't think you should go on a Twinkie diet, but it's you can lose weight eating junk food, and I don't promote that because you're going to have a bad time doing it. But basically what he did was he had a vending machine only diet. He would only eat foods from the vending machine. He was allowed to have a multivitamin and 1 serve of veggies per day. He had a calorie intake of about 1,800 calories, and he lost up to, I think it was 18 or 20 pounds or something along those lines. There's been other people who have been on all McDonald's diets and lost huge amounts of weight. Again, guys, it's as long as your total calories are in check, that's the most important thing. Having said that, I do advocate getting as much of your food as possible, at least 80 to 90% from wholesome foods. So things like having oats for breakfast, or having chicken and vegetables for dinner, and things of that sort. So that way your dining phase will be as easy as possible, and you're going to stay as satiated as possible, and you're going to get the nutrients that you need and your body needs to run on. If you only ate crackers and chips and that was all you ate every single day for the rest of your life, you're going to be feeling pretty miserable. You're not going to get the protein that's required. It's really a fitness industry type of myth. You don't need to eat clean to lose weight, but I do promote that you should eat as much whole foods as you possibly can, but allow yourself to have a little bit of something if you want it. And you probably would have seen my video, the last one that I just put up as well, about my food diary and what we sort of get on the grocery shopping trip. But if you haven't, go check out that video as well, guys. And that is pretty much it. If you have any questions on those, feel free to send me a message. I'm more than happy to help out and clarify anything. Again, my details, shannonbillowspt@gmail.com. If you want to keep up to date with all the videos I'm going to be putting out over the next sort of couple of months, please follow my Facebook page at Shannon Billows Personal Training at Facebook. Again, guys, online and in-person coaching available. If you're not too sure what you're doing or you're struggling with results and you need some guidance, get in contact with me. A free week, free assessment available. I'll take you through some basic information, find out where you are and what you need to be doing to get the results that you need to that you want to get to. And if you've found this helpful, if you found it interesting, share it, like it, and repost it. But appreciate your time, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.